Today, we're here with a very special guest, Virginia Burke, the founder of the Museum of Jamaican Ancestry and Heritage. Virginia, it's so wonderful to be here with you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, it's always a pleasure for sure. So, talk to me a bit about the genesis of your work. How did you first decide, and what was the inspiration that told you, you know what, I want to be involved in this. I want to be involved in preserving and sharing Jamaican culture and heritage with everyone.
Well, I can only say it was a bit of a trifecta. I
Hmm.
mean, it comes from way back. I have to credit my father for introducing me to museums and all that. So I grew up with a love of history and stuff.
Hmm.
And then also working here in St. Elizabeth, where I
Hmm.
live. I've been on the school board at a local primary school for about 14 years now. And
Right.
4 years ago, I, I've been giving the children art classes,
Mm.
and when they said, I discovered that they didn't even know who Miss Lou was.
Wow.
It broke my heart,
Of course.
and yeah, so it, I was trying to do a program actually for self help to try and find things to do to make money living in the countryside here,
Hmm.
and they said, what lights a spark in you?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I had done an interview earlier in the day about Jamaican food
Hmm.
because I have a background in cuisine and cookbooks and things like that.
Hmm.
And it just hit me. I said, I'm going to build a museum. I'm crazy. I mean, who builds museums? Who gets up and says that? And it
Yeah.
wouldn't go away. It
Yeah.
just wouldn't. The thought, the ambition, the feeling of it, and the idea originally was to build a small museum downtown.
Hmm.
Downtown Kingston is going through a bit of a transformation now,
Right.
and there's a buzz with the art walk and all the
Hmm.
murals on the walls, and young people going down and getting creatives,
Yeah.
artists, and so on, getting very excited about it.
For
And
sure.
I just felt I'd love to be part of that. I
Hmm.
had talked about it years ago. We have always discussed what could we do with downtown,
Yeah.
but doing a brick and mortar, I asked friends to help me.
Hmm.
And the people who got on board, Pat, who is on our board,
Hmm.
said to me, "I'll help you, but I want this to be modern. Let's
Yeah.
do something really special, something different."
Hmm.
And it's actually been 4 years that we've been trying to investigate what it takes to really build a museum. So we
Right.
have spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people and connected to museum experts, and I mean, it's been quite a journey. And I
Hmm.
would say about a year ago, a bit over a year ago, in talking to development banks and people like that, the idea that was supposed to be our second phase, which is a
Hmm.
mobile museum,
Hmm.
started to get traction. And we
Hmm.
realized that this really captured people's imagination. They thought, oh, a mobile museum. No, that's really interesting. That's something different.
Hmm.
And we said, well, the people that we want to reach are the ones who probably won't make it to Kingston. So,
Right.
like where I live in this rural part of St. Elizabeth, it's
Yeah.
very unlikely that these kids would ever have an opportunity to go and visit a museum in Kingston.
Hmm.
So, I guess in a way, and it came from many angles that these children are the ones that really inspired me
Yeah.
to try and make a difference in their lives, to
Certainly.
see them get the kind of exposure that I had as a child.
Right.
I was very lucky to get, my dad took us to museums. So I had seen that from I was, by the time I was 11 or whatever, I had been walking in the Louvre and
Come
seeing
on.
Pompeii and all of that. And I
Yeah.
realized how it affects you as a human being to
Hmm.
expand your vision. It
Right.
helps you, thinking outside of the box as a creative person and so on.
Hmm.
So that's really how it started.
No, I love that so much
And
because
we have a long way to go. Yeah.
certainly, certainly. But I think what I love most about it is that you really understood that you were trying to meet a particular need. And as great as it would be, I had a chance to see all the beautiful progress in downtown Kingston about 3 years ago now. Like, it still wouldn't meet the need of communities in St. Bess and Portland and all and
Right.
Hanover and all these spaces that are much more rural, and the children wouldn't be able to access it. So I really commend you for that, because that's really being mission minded. So I guess I would ask you, how would
Yes.
you describe the museum's mission in your own words?
Ah, well, I would have to say that it is a mission of transformation,
Mm-hmm.
of of restoration.
Yeah.
We would like to bring to young people the feeling that Jamaica really belongs to them, in the sense that it is their responsibility
Mm-hmm.
to preserve and conserve our heritage,
Yeah.
and to understand. The only way to do that is to understand it and to know what it is.
Yeah.
So it is it that that really is the mission,
Yeah.
is to reach out to people and have them discover that we have a very powerful history.
No
There's a
question.
lot in there. There's a whole lot to unpack. And
Absolutely.
this can make a difference in your life. As
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Garvey said,
Yes.
famously, if you
Right.
don't know where you came from, you can't know where you're going.
That's
So
it.
that really has been a byword for us,
Yeah.
to say that's what we're after.
No doubt about it. So,
Yeah.
as you've been, I love how you said earlier that you're sort of studying the ways in which museums are done. Like, in your study so far, and even in your implementation of Moja, how have you noticed the distinctions between this museum and other cultural institutions in Jamaica?
Well, I wouldn't even say how much. I feel strongly that the children that I've been working with, the young people, or
Mhm.
most Jamaicans, we have no culture of museum going in Jamaica.
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
very few young people that really have access to it,
Right.
and you will find that they're not really that. They don't really care about a broken cup sitting in a glass case where
Yeah.
they have to read a lot of information.
Yeah.
So, if we want to reach these young people, we're going to have to come with something really interesting where they're doing
Mhm.
the discovering and
Mhm.
we are providing the access to the information
Yeah.
in creative ways
Yeah.
where it's very interactive,
Mhm.
and this can't be top down. When we go into a community, we want to first of all connect with community leaders
Yeah.
and the elders there, and
Mhm.
have them bring us in and talk to us too. So we're having a conversation, a
Right.
dialogue. It's not a class. It's not. They're not going to go to a class.
Yeah. It can't feel like school
It's
again.
not a classroom. No, it can't feel like school.
Yeah.
So,
I
so
hear that.
we really believe that engaging kids has to come from oral histories
Mhm.
and art and you know storytelling, a
Mhm.
lot of storytelling, because we want to collect stories as much as we want, as much as we want to tell stories,
Of course.
of course. And so who knows, I mean, this is really quite an exploration. And
Yeah.
from the very beginning, we've been talking. We have one advisor who is in Australia, and
Mhm.
his what he brings to the table is he loves Jamaica. He's been writing a children's story, Jared,
Lovely.
and um, he got the Churchill Fellowship, went around the world studying countries that had first peoples
Right.
or were enslaved or
Mhm.
had colonial rule. So
Yeah.
he kind of understood a lot of that and has, been there on the sidelines giving us advice.
Mhm.
Last year we had the gift of all gifts, where Carla Prett from the Bronx Children's Museum heard about what we were doing
Wow.
and offered to help.
Love
And
that.
she has been by my side, I mean, for over a year now, just really coaching me along and
Yeah.
helping us as a team.
Awesome.
helping us to do, because she got she was one of the founding directors of the Bronx Children's.
Awesome.
And even though we're not trying to do a children's museum per se,
Right.
they also started with a bus.
Yes.
So she understands what it takes to do that.
Absolutely.
So we're getting help from outside on
Mhm.
that level. We've also been talking to a huge, big, massive museum company, Gallagher and Associates, that have built about 500 museums around the world,
Mhm.
and they understand what it takes to bring people in and connect to them. And we've learned from them that it's an emotional thing. That what
Yeah.
you're touching are people's emotions in order to get them really engaged. And we are trying to bring about a cultural literacy
Of
for
course.
Jamaicans.
Of course.
And cultural literacy then brings you into a level where you really understand your traditions. So
Mhm.
therefore, it makes you a better citizen. And
Yes.
it's a broader concept, of who you are and how you live with other people, how you
Mm.
understand what art means.
Right.
And it's a big dream, and it's a huge vision, and who knows where the road will take us,
Sure.
literally where
Yep.
the road
Right.
will
Where
take
the
us.
road will
But we're
take us.
planning to start. Yeah, we're planning to start in St. Elizabeth, where I am, where I know it probably the best,
Mhm.
and it's accessible. It has a fantastic history of background.
Yeah.
St. Elizabeth is really interesting place,
Mhm.
and we've been gifted a van, but it needs fixing up, so we're not actually on the road yet. But
Mhm.
what we're doing is collecting the stories and the people,
Mhm.
and in that sense, talking to a lot of people. We've
Yeah.
had amazing number of volunteers, because I don't know if you realize it, but a lot of funding has dried up for projects like ours
Ah,
in the
shameful.
past year or so, or yeah, even the last 6 months. Things have
Ooh.
gotten a bit haywire with aid, and people just not
Right.
sure about what's happening. And some of the institutions we thought we could count on, I don't know if we can anymore. So
Right.
we know we have to help ourselves, and
Of
that's
course.
really my message to your audience.
Mhm.
If the people from the diaspora, I mean, get on board, guys. We
Yeah.
really need help to do this.
Absolutely.
It's our responsibility to
It's
make it happen.
absolutely our responsibility. I totally agree with you, and I'm just thinking about, to your earlier point, Virginia. There are so many stories to tell. This museum could, never run out of content. So how do you decide which stories, which artifacts, traditions that you're going to highlight? You want to include everything, but how are you going to decide, oh, we need to highlight this?
That's a good question. And I've come around to it now because my background is in food. I've
Hmm.
written two cookbooks. I worked,
Awesome.
I was with Walkerswood Caribbean Food for 20 years. I took jerk cooking out to the world. I
Yes.
went to all the food shows, and I was the marketing director. I designed all the labels
Uh-huh.
for Walkerswood products. I wrote two cookbooks with them.
Yeah.
And so food is that I've always had an interest in foodways.
Mhm.
I would say more so than cooking. I've always been interested in how where our food came from.
Right.
And if you think about it, food is a common denominator. You can talk about the
Mhm.
out of many one people just
Mhm.
by having that conversation through food.
Yes.
So food is involved in all our traditions. It's
Mhm.
our history. What the Tainos were doing. They started our agriculture. It's the
Right.
food that they developed in Jamaica, the pineapples and the cassava and
Mhm.
barbecue, and that's
Yeah.
where this is where it started. And I think a lot of Jamaicans don't even realize we 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 own the pineapple. It
Yeah.
didn't come from Hawaii. It came from the Caribbean.
That's
Well,
right.
through Brazil, I will
Mhm.
through the Tainos, but it's been here a very long time. And the same
Yeah.
thing with cocoa for chocolate.
Yeah.
Milk chocolate was discovered in Jamaica
Right.
through Sir Hans Sloane, and he added milk and sugar to it.
Yeah.
And that's not the way the Central Americans were using it.
Mm-mm.
So we have a lot of things through food. So we've decided that this is a really wonderful way of a channel through
Mm-hmm.
which we can discuss our entire history
Yeah.
through using food. And since it's something I know a bit about and I have a passion of, I felt comfortable in choosing this as our first stream as
Yeah.
such.
No, no, I love that. Well, before I even go to my next question, I just feel like I need to say personally thank you because God knows how many cookouts I've used Walker's Wood jerk seasoning to make sure the food is great. So I
Oh
owe
yeah.
you a debt.
Well,
Yeah.
Walker's Wood started as a community project,
Yeah.
and that was really where I got that inspiration
Mhm.
to do something that's community minded and bring people on board.
Yeah,
Let us all have a participate in this. Yeah.
for sure. There's a lot, and I think even some of what you're saying kind of touches on this, where there's such a chasm between, you know, the history of Jamaica, the traditional understandings of Jamaica, the ways in which, young people understand Jamaica, and of course, how the world understands Jamaica. So, with all of that,
Absolutely.
with all of that going around, like what aspects of Jamaican ancestral heritage do you think are most underrepresented or misunderstood?
Mm. Wow. Whew, that's a that's a toughie. I
Yeah.
do want to say that Bob Marley was also very, um, very much a part of me being who I am because I
Yeah.
met him when I was in high school,
Oh, okay,
and I
cool.
knew him. I was when I went away. When I yeah when I when I went to college, my first job was in graphic. I'm a graphic designer, so my
Uh-huh.
first job was doing newsletters, and he
Right.
saw me doing all of this over the years. He invited me to
Mhm.
meet with him in Miami, and I met his fan club person, the lady who ran his fan club,
Yeah.
and he wanted us to talk and meet, and we
Mhm.
decided we couldn't do this out of Miami. It had to be done in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And so he brought me down to put his newsletter together for him. And of course, I got to meet, the elders, Mortimer
Yeah.
Plano, and all these people that were involved in the movement.
Mhm.
And we followed Bob. We were, Cindy Breakspear is my best friend. So
Oh,
I
wow.
was right in the middle of all of this. I
Yeah.
was with her when Damien was born, when
Right.
Damien Marley was born,
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I
That's
took the
awesome.
first pictures.
That's awesome.
So, so this is very much part of my grounding
Mhm.
in in who we are as
Mhm.
Jamaicans, because I crossed that road from maybe an uptown person
Yeah.
to meeting Bob and all these folks and all the music and
Yeah.
getting really exposed on that level. And
Mhm.
it brought my interest in Africa. I worked in Nigeria. One of my jobs took me to Liberia and
Wow.
Nigeria, and all of that that interested Bob as well.
Mhm.
So he
Mhm.
was he was about to go on tour and do all of
Right.
that. So Jamaicans, my grandfather is from, my grandfather parents are from Seaford Town.
Mhm.
My grandfather was a farmer.
Mhm.
We've gone and met my grandmother's family from Maroon Town.
Yeah.
My husband who loves to do ancestry,
Yeah.
he discovered my slave family,
Wow.
my slave grandmothers that were enslaved at Green Park Estate.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it was amazing how he found them.
Right.
And I've never forgotten their names,
Yeah.
Isabel and Margaret and Jessie
Mhm.
that were there, you know. And so I get the chills whenever I think of them. It really affects me.
Yeah, certainly.
And I think a lot of Jamaicans don't realize that people like me that they might think are just privileged from the European side of Jamaica
Yeah.
doesn't have those African roots. We sure
Right.
as anything do. We are
Yeah.
so mixed up. I have 24 world regions in me.
Of
Of
course.
course, I'm interested in, in my people. And
Yeah.
of course, I know that I'm Jamaican from my ancestor that came here in 1655.
Wow.
And
Wow.
when you do your ancestry and
Yeah.
you discover these roots and these people in your past,
Hmm.
there's something happens to you. And
Yeah.
this is what a lot of us never had.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the Appleton estate where they
Hmm.
just built a memorial to slave enslaved people. In
Yeah.
it's not a huge thing, but it has names all around it. And I
Yeah.
asked one of the guides to just show me. And she came with me and we were standing there and I looked at it and it had Isabel on it. And I said, "Oh my God, that's the name of one of my." It wasn't her. I'm not saying
Right,
it
but
was my
still,
Isabel,
it really
but
grabbed you.
when I told her that, yeah, she said to me, "Oh my God, you know who those people were in your family?" She says, "I don't even know my grandparents,"
That's
and
something.
she didn't know where they came from and who they were.
Yeah.
And I realized the two of us stood there with tears streaming down our face
Hmm.
because something happened there when we were talking,
Yeah.
about that belonging, that identity. Who am I? Where did I come from? It's so important for us to search and find. And we
Absolutely.
shouldn't discard the fact that yes, some of these old houses and buildings were built by slaves,
Hmm.
enslaved people. I keep saying I've got to learn how to keep my,
Yeah.
my words
Enslaved. Yeah.
because we,
Yeah.
we have to decolonize what we were brought up to say and how we
For
were
sure.
taught to think. So this is a big part of our work is to be very sensitive to all of this.
Hmm.
And therefore, we have to find the historians that can speak that language and help us to connect and do the repair work and the restoration that must be done
Hmm.
for Jamaicans to feel whole and really move ahead, especially those who are underprivileged in areas that they don't have access to this information.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's incredibly powerful. Because to your point, you almost took my breath away when you said 1655, because I think about how many people can't go back 75 years, can't go back 100 years in their family's history, much less to go back centuries. So it really, there's such a deep need, and I think that in a way this work helps participate in people's healing. There's a sense of closure, and so much of
Yes,
that was
that's
lost because of the slave trade, that being able to say, here's where your forebears were, here's where they came from, here's how they lived, helps to paint a richer story and give us a bigger narrative than just what we have currently.
Yeah, I've been considering doing DNA, trying to get it offered as part of the museum if people
Hmm.
are interested, because when to know that some of my family came from Benin and
Yeah.
Nigeria. I know
Right.
mostly Nigeria, but you know, it's interesting because if we can ever travel back, I would love to make connections to those countries so
Certainly.
that we can have conversations with Jamaicans and people from Ghana or Nigeria or wherever
Hmm.
to really discuss who we are and I think it's important for Jamaicans to recognize how we developed with with a lot of the same, but how we also develop differently.
Yeah.
How what came into our lives has affected us and influenced us, and who we are now is not the same people really that had we remained
Hmm.
and been able to stay where we were.
Yeah.
But what a journey! So
Truly.
it's all very intriguing and you know it, I, I I think part of what we're doing, I mean, I was one of the founders of Jamaicans for Justice,
Hmm.
and it was a father, oh gosh, I must remember his name, that actually came up with the title,
Yeah.
because he said, Father Albert,
Mm.
and he said to us, what Jamaicans want most of all is justice.
Yeah.
It's a sense of the fact that things for me are different for you.
Right.
That's not fair.
Mm-mm.
And that still exists today,
No
where
doubt.
people feel that there is no real justice. So this work that we're doing,
Mhm.
it's complex and
Yeah,
it's important.
yeah, no doubt about it. You know, we've
Yeah.
talked at length about its impact, the impact of your work in the museum, you know, um, on the mainland of Jamaica. But just thinking about the diaspora, we kind of glanced at it and talked about that sort of
Mhm.
collective responsibility. You know, those of us whose grandparents came to the States or went to Canada, went to the UK, and all throughout the world. Talk to me about what your hopes are for this museum with regard to contributing to a deeper sense of identity among Jamaicans, both at home and in the diaspora.
Well, as I said to you, in talking to people from the diaspora, one of the things that one of their first feelings of homesickness is food. That
Yeah,
too, you know,
truth.
when they have to live abroad, what do they want the most is they miss yard food. They want the ackee and the saltfish and what have you, and it just can't come right. No
That's
green
right.
banana. What did you? So I know that the Jamaicans in the diaspora, they love, you say things like, boy, you're sweet like ripe mango, and they just burst into laughter. They love
That's it.
stories like that. And you find that the younger kids, they don't know how to cook. Their parents are
Mm-hmm.
not handing it down. They're losing a lot of the traditions and
Mm-hmm.
they're hungry for it.
Yeah.
And they should understand how important it is to preserve these things because we need to know where we came from
Yeah.
and what it was all about. So I think that, and that goes for, you know, the UK, the US, Canada,
Mm-hmm.
wherever Jamaicans are. I really hope that they will, if they hear about us, Moja, Museum of Jamaican Ancestral Heritage,
Mm-hmm.
that they'll look us up and get on board
Yeah.
because the museum belongs to all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I love that. You were talking, and I was trying to find
Yeah.
the lines for it, but you just reminded me of one of Miss Lou's poems where she talks about being in England, and a man starts to cry when he hears about rice and peas. Just like just the way in which, to your point, home is just so connected to that sense of food and what's on the plate. It's absolutely
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Yeah, and
Yeah.
just as an aside,
Yeah.
my mom lives with
So,
us, and oh, sorry, I was gonna say my mom lives with us, and she made curry chicken, and I no longer eat meat, and I almost teared up because it just smelled so good and reminded me of being a child. I was like, oh, I can't have any of
oh.
this. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, but that's one of my best dishes. I'm told is the
Oh,
curry chicken.
oh, it hurts my
Oh
heart.
God. Sorry about.
That's okay. It's all good. I have my curry lentils and pretend it's the same thing.
I yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. And you potatoes, curried potatoes are wonderful
Oh
with
yeah.
chickpeas and all that. So
Hmm.
you can, and then you can put any amount of Scotch bonnet pepper in that you want,
There it
because
is.
of course the pepper is the secret.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Oh boy.
For sure. So
I want to mention to
mm,
you, just in case it doesn't come up,
mm,
is the point that we really are looking for a lot of collaborations.
yeah.
We're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Hmm.
So things that can be just brought in, you know,
Hmm.
and continued.
Yeah.
Groups that have started other things. We would also like to be a platform for people who have skills and talent and dancers, storytellers, drummers, whatever you are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
come with us on the road. Come and meet the people. So
Hmm.
there'll be opportunities for a lot of interaction that way.
Love that. Absolutely love
And if you are someone in the diaspora and you
that.
have a skill that you feel we could film you and make a documentary, if you can only do one presentation personally, then
Hmm.
we can at least have that and take. We want to show people what excellence looks like.
Absolutely.
We want to do things that are a little bit different, that are
Yeah.
new and fresh,
Yeah.
taking the past and adapting it so
Hmm.
that it can be used in the future.
Yeah. No, I
um,
love that.
I don't know if you've heard of the orange economy, but the orange economy is a way for creative people to get involved in in the economic side of the country, in our economy,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
contributing to the economy and
Mhm.
making a good living off the economy,
Awesome.
instead of just being relegated to, oh, you are a craft worker. There's nothing wrong with a craft worker, but
No.
because we have to compete with China,
Yeah.
if you're a craft worker making beautiful artisanal work, you can't
Mhm.
sell it for $5 to compete with the imported goods.
Right.
And this has really messed people up a lot.
Mhm.
And I would like to see that we can make things that are more excellent and sell it for a lot more money. And therefore, you could
Make a
survive
living.
off your beautiful craft.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So talk to me about
Yeah.
the
And,
reception.
and, and respected.
Oh, 100%. Want it to be respected. But talk to me a bit about the
Yeah.
reception you've gotten thus far from young people, whether it's about, collaborating, inviting them as you're just describing to be a part of the exhibit. Like, have they sort of taken you up on the offer? Has there been resistance from younger people who may not fully get what you're trying to articulate?
I don't think there's been any resistance. I
Great.
think the problem with most young people is they just want to be paid.
Yeah.
They're not into volunteering to do
That's
that
fair.
much work without getting compensation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we believe in compensating you for your work.
Hmm.
This is going to be very important. But we do have to raise the funds in
Yeah,
order to do it.
of course.
But I've been absolutely. We had a fabulous focus group a few months ago,
Hmm.
and we invited quite a few young people, and they were full of ideas,
Yeah,
of what we could do.
yeah.
So, there are many, many ways that people can contribute. It can be in kind, just your thoughts, your ideas. I
Mhm.
would say to you, we're going to want to collect some artifacts, but we have nowhere to put them yet because we have no building or anything. So
Right.
we'll hold off on that. But we there are some small things that we would love to collect and have suitcase exhibits, so we can
Yeah.
take things in the back of the van and go around with it, so people
Yeah.
can touch things.
Right.
You want with a museum that people have every sensual kind of
Mhm.
if effect. You
Yeah.
smell it, taste it, feel it, touch it, what have you. It's
Yeah.
very important to do that, all the senses.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. For sure. So, what would you ultimately say is your vision for the future of Moja? Like, all obstacles cleared. Like, what's your vision for what Moja
Yeah.
should be?
Well, in the my vision down the road, what we would love to see is that we could have a larger bus or a container or maybe more than one
Mhm.
that we could take to communities and park it. And inside that, you could have maybe a transformative experience
Mhm.
with light shows and actual, you know, real things happening inside. This,
Yeah.
this technology would be a bit, it's too expensive for us to even contemplate at this stage.
Yeah.
But there are countries that develop technology that might
Mhm.
want to, you know, contribute that to us,
Mhm.
and we could really deck out a bus or so on and have a much more intense experience.
Mhm.
So we'd also love the idea of prototyping this so it could be replicated on another island, or
Yes.
in the Caribbean, so that this
Mhm.
sort of thing could be done elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's sort of a long dream, but you know, and also that our people can really connect a bit more through Moja to the
Mhm.
other Caribbean islands who have
Yeah.
had the same experience, and to our ancestors, where our ancestors came from, wherever
Yes.
that might be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how can people who are watching this and listening to this support your work, whether they're in Jamaica or abroad? Like, how can they support?
I think the first thing they need to do is to go on our website,
Hmm.
which is moja.org.
Hmm.
There are a couple dots and WWs involved, but it's basically
Yeah.
moja.org. And it stands for Museum of Jamaican Ancestral Heritage.
Hmm.
And when you go on the website, you will see ways to contribute. We have a very secure gateway for
Hmm.
people to donate, but there's also a link for becoming a friend of Moja.
Yes.
And the Friends of Moja means that you can email us, write to us, and get in touch, and then make your suggestions, and we'll get back to you. And
Mhm.
that's how did you find me?
I
How is it you found me?
I found you through Instagram. Like the algorithm said
Through Instagram. Oh,
this is
okay,
something you
okay.
would like. So I was
Oh
like,
my God.
you're right, algorithm.
We got 60,000, over 60,000 hits on that little thing that I said. I can't even believe it because
Yeah.
I'm not actually an Instagram person. I am learning fast.
Oh,
But so that was great. But most of the information, if you're really interested, you'll want to see the website,
yeah.
which will give you a good idea of what we're planning.
Hmm.
And please bear with us because we haven't been able to do everything yet, but
Hmm.
really feel absolutely free to give us $1, $5, whatever. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much it is.
Hmm.
It's the idea that you're supporting this and giving us a chance to move it ahead.
That's awesome.
I would just give you a quick little insight. Something really great that's happened in the last few days is that we've made connections with the National Library of Jamaica that
Okay.
can authenticate and help us with research, and
Yeah.
also the National Library Service, because we,
Wonderful.
we need the kids to read, and they have an outreach all around the island.
Yeah.
So that will help, where we can meet and greet and talk to each other.
Uh,
So I hope I haven't said anything too early, but everybody's excited about that,
oh, awesome. Well, that is tremendous
especially
news.
me.
Of course, of course, of course. That and I really love the focus. I know we talked about Moja's not a children's museum, but it's just something
Right.
foundational. And I'll say this and tie it back in. Like,
Yes.
this year my wife and I decided to homeschool our children, and a large part of how I'm handling the humanities side of the education. I said I want
Hmm.
my sons to learn about Jamaican history. Like it's vital that they
Right.
learn about
Right.
this. When we visited my father and my stepmom, I was like, it's important for. I almost wanted to get my sister and brother's books and just be like, what are they teaching you in school, so I can take this to
Yeah.
the States with me, because I don't want my sons to feel like, oh, this is just a place where grandpa lives, or it's just a place where, like, my family's
Yeah.
from, but it's
Right.
actually a part of, like, not only our story but the world's story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Okay. Our IG handle and our Facebook handle is Moja Jamaica.
okay,
Very simple.
for
And we're
sure.
going to be putting stories up on there that you can then share with your son or whatever. We're
Yes,
going to start
yes.
adding do but for now we're going to have to do quite a lot of virtual museuming
Yeah.
until we can get on the road properly. Okay?
Absolutely.
So this is also where people can help us through sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that businesses will see that if they will be supporting something really um, special. We
Mm-hmm.
will want to do things with food, and to
Yeah.
be able to bring along some refreshments, maybe to when we go to a community or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All of this, we just need art supplies or materials and
Yeah.
things, books and so on, for young people to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, even things that is, if it's not money, there are many ways of contributing to this and supporting it.
Yeah.
And I am totally open to new ideas. All
Yeah.
right. So we're fluid here.
Here for it. Here for it. It's just an exciting.
fluid
It's
fluid
exciting.
but determined.
Yes.
Yeah.
Focus. Fluid and focused.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Yes.
Certainly.
For
Well,
sure.
I for one am tremendously excited about your work. I definitely want to stay in touch and support as best as I can, because I really believe in what you're doing, and I'll be sure to post the IG handle and the website link in the episode description for this podcast. But Virginia,
Yeah.
this has been an honor. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about this important work.
Thank you, Chris. I can't thank you enough. And, bless up all you and all your listeners. And
Yes.
I really appreciate this opportunity. This has been extremely special. This is a first for us. So Thank you, thank you, thank you, Chris. Take care.
Hey, he did the same. And friends,
Be blessed.
be sure to watch us on baddestchaplain.com. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and in everywhere you get podcasts. But until next time, be blessed and do take care.